Hi, everyone. I hope you are all well, safe, and doing your best to thrive personally and professionally over these last few weeks during these very challenging times. My name is Alicia Stevens. I'm the founder of InspireWorks, and as an engagement strategist, I have spent several years working with progressive organizations, learning, collaborating, sharing, and facilitating around the importance of building strong teams within organizations. So why is this important? Because we know that when we build strong teams with a collective vision and purpose, we are thriving, we are engaging, and supporting each other, as well as our customers and our community. So today we are definitely facing some very unprecedented times. We are concerned about so many things, right? It's about our health, our family, our work, and our future. As it relates to work, we have shifted gears as many of us are now working from home, right? It is the trust, I believe, in our companies, our leaders and managers that are really supporting all of us, our colleagues, to get through these times. So caring and supporting one another is absolutely key. And in fact, caring may not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think about accountants, but this is what you consistently hear when talking to partners, managers, and employees from BDO, from this professional services firm. Building a culture that values people is a clear priority. In fact, BDO's international CEO really sees this as the foundation of the firm's vision and a way to bring employees literally across the world together as one. So BDO's global organization extends across 167 countries and territories, with over 88,000 people working out of over 1,600 offices. What is their common goal? It's to provide their clients with exceptional service. So with that being said, I am so delighted to have Keith Farlinger, who is the CEO of BDO International, on my podcast today, as we're doing this from home on Zoom, and we're discussing why the engagement of teams is so important and how coming together, working collaboratively, although we are remote lately, while supporting the diverse needs of our customers. So welcome, Keith.
Thanks, Alicia. It's great to be able to talk to you about this important topic at such an important time.
Thank you so much. And Keith, you have such an impressive background. You have spent your entire career with BDO, and you're currently the CEO of BDO International. And just to give our audience a little bit of background, you assumed the role in November of 2017, following basically 2 years as CEO of Americas. You became the Chief Executive Officer at BDO Canada in October of 2008, after serving as regional managing partner for the Toronto region of the firm. So Keith, that's pretty crazy and very impressive. So tell me about, what has your journey been like, especially in the early years of starting your career?
Yeah, so it's been an amazing career. And I joke with people, I say, well, actually, I've had many different careers. It's just that they've always been at the same place. Because every time I got a little bit bored, I wanted to do something different, I turned my head around and there was another opportunity within BDO. So I was able to stay within the same organization. And it's been, for me, it's been such a learning experience. I've learned so much on the way, starting with the day I started up until today. And early on, there was a couple of lessons that really stuck with me that's helped me in my career. One, after I just got my CA designation, and I was trying to figure out, what do I do? Do I stay with BDO? Do I go somewhere else? I was in the audit area, and auditing is not the most exciting thing at times, and I was wondering if I could make a whole career at that. So I turned to one of my mentors and I said, Al, I said, I really like BDO. I like the people, but you've been in the profession a long time. How have you been able to stay in auditing all these years? And he says, or he said at the time, I don't do auditing. I help my clients with their problems. And it totally changed the perspective for me at that point in time. Rather than focusing on me selling one of my services, it flipped it around and said, okay, what does this particular client really need and how can I help them? And then the second thing that really stuck with me in my first go at management, I was quite young. I became a managing partner of the Toronto office. I said, wow, this is great. You know, I'm going to solve all the problems in the world, do everything, and really show that I'm a leader. And I really started to struggle. I couldn't come up with the answer as quick as I'd like to. I didn't know the answers to some of the questions. And so a partner pulled me aside and said, Keith, we see that you're struggling a little bit. Don't forget, you're part of a big organization, part of a team. We're all there to help you. And again, it just totally changed my perspective. Suddenly, any problem was not my problem, it was our problem. I brought in different teams and just showed me that different people could add so much to every conversation. And we did it together. It wasn't about just about me, which goes back, Alicia, to your opening comments about the power of teams.
Ah, what a great story, Keith. I love it. And you're absolutely right. It isn't, I look at it as a we mentality, right? It's the greater good and what we can literally bring together to support our teams. I think this is such a great example of even in your earlier days around mentorship, really helping people, and as you just mentioned, the power of teams. So thank you for that. So just to give you a brief window for our audience as to how I connected with BDO and Keith a number of years ago. So I was a senior director at OC Tanner, and we worked collaboratively with the Canadian BDO team to really strategize on growing a culture that really values people. Coming up with the idea, Keith, and you may recall this, is the vision of one firm, right? So bringing offices collectively together, engaged to make a difference. And it was really through valued relationships with people, clients, and community. And so I really recall, Keith, that you made this such a clear priority, and starting with a roadshow to meet with many of your Canadian offices, with Emery Seraph, who I believe was our chief people strategy person. So how was that experience for you?
First, it was a big difference for BDO at the time because we had over 100 independent entrepreneurial offices, and we thought that we could really leverage each other and come together as one firm. So that was kind of the rallying cry, one firm. And I'm a big believer in that top down doesn't work. But the bigger way to move forward in a strategy is to engage people, kind of sell them on the headlines and let them, carry it on from them. Let them practice it. Let them come up with strategies. And they're just much more engaged when they do that. So we did a roadshow. We hit most of the offices in Canada, a lot of rural little towns throughout Canada, and I really got to meet the people. So you could just reach out, touch them. You could see them when you talk to them. It was small forums, and we talked about ways of doing it. And they really kind of warmed up to the one firm part of it and working together as a bigger organization, just rather than their small offices. So it really, again, demonstrated to me the power of the people and how talented group of people that we had, that we could really take advantage going forward.
Mm-hmm. And I can imagine with that situation that must have been extremely welcomed, right? For them as managing directors to have you come there and actually listen to their challenges and the opportunities that they wanted to share with you. So I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, that it made them important. It made them feel part of the strategy, rather than kind of being told what to do. So they responded amazingly.
Awesome. Okay, so I just want to go back. So how are you and your family doing?
We're good. It's a whole new way of life. My wife and I are in this big house by ourselves. We used to have regular family dinners. We used to see our granddaughter every week. We babysat her one day. But now it's social distancing. It's all with WhatsApp chats and those kinds of things. So it's more difficult, but we are adapting, and everyone's healthy, and we are always looking forward every few days to the WhatsApp chats to stay together with everybody. So
Mm,
different different times.
yeah, that's so great to hear. And I would have to say that Zoom, WhatsApp, all of those great connectivity channels that are out there, thank goodness for them, because we are able to connect with our friends, our family, and our community in great ways. So, yeah, we're doing the best that we can, right?
We are. We're surviving, and humans are very good at surviving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So okay, just getting back to where we are. So, we are definitely in unprecedented times with businesses. And so, here we are. We're all working from home. And we know that that can really bring challenges. I know it is for Keith and I and for everyone out there. And we also know that bridging and building strong lines of communication and connectivity is so key for us personally, but also to engage with each other, our teams, and to help us and them, our teams, move forward and stay connected and thrive during these times. So BDO you have 160 countries that you're working in with over 86,000 employees. So Keith, can I ask you, what strategies are you and your teams implementing to help support, connect, and engage with each other during these times?
Yeah, so in these times, two things are really, really important. Number one, leadership, and number two, as you mentioned, communication. So we are trying to practice both of those every day. And you see it in everything around us, on the TV and so on. Those people who are really leading, making decisions and so on, and those people are really communicating stand out. And some of the ones surprise you because you didn't think were real leaders, while the others you thought were real leaders are in crisis. Leadership and communication, I think, are so, so important. So when we think about it globally, we actually divide it into two segments that we're focused on. We're focused on our global office employees, and there's about 200 of them, number one. And then number two, we focus on our 167 firms in different countries they have their own managing partners and so on. So on our individual people, they're all going through a really tough time. They're working at home for the first time. A lot of them have young children at home. They have parents they're trying to concern with. So we're really open the forum with them. We have a call with them every week to talk about how we can help them through these obstacles. We also get their engagement about helping BDO move forward in the second part, which is on the firm side of things. But really listening to them, helping to organize coffee chats and so on to keep their morale up, and showing them that they're a very, very important part of our team. And these chats, it's not me talking for the whole period. I do my bit, and then various people on my team who are all really talented and really focused and really caring also participate in the calls. Then the second group are the firms, and what we're trying to give to them is best practices. So it's some of the things that we've learned from a global firm, but again, it's also turning to some of them and saying, okay, you're doing some great things in the US or Canada or India or whatever. What would you say to the rest of the firms in terms of best practices in those areas? And every week we have a new topic. So first is, the first reaction to COVID and how to make your people comfortable. The second week was all about clients and what are the things that you're going to do to help your clients through. And then the third part of it, which we're focusing on, is how to protect their business going forward. All of them are going to undergo what our clients are undergoing, and that is a difficult financial issues, and how do we help do it? What are the best practices in those areas?
That's fantastic. I think you're really taking a great approach in all of those areas, especially, what is really, really relevant in what we're dealing with today. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of our business? And then how do we look after each other? That's fantastic. That's really great. Any outcomes? I know this is something we probably haven't really talked about, but during your meetings, Keith, that you've had, has there been any sort of outcomes that have come out of that you might want to put into practice, or are people basically just saying, this is great, I love the communication, and we're putting in some of the practices that we're learning from different offices or different teams within the globe?
That's come out of it is that it's not all about cutting costs and figuring out how we just kind of batten down the hatches. It's about, this is the time to invest in some specific things now that'll be good for the short term, but it'll also position the firms for when we come out of this. And so those areas that, again, we can focus our global resources on that are going to happen. So obviously one of them is digital, and we have a very good digital platform. But the comments we've got back, so how can we extend that? How can we connect all the pieces together to make it easier to use, and so that BDO emerges as a clear leader in digital going forward? So we're getting great ideas from different firms that really are helping us in terms of our strategy moving forward.
That's fantastic. And you did talk about that. You are you're very pronounced in terms of the digital, the technical side, and you're still trying to learn and figure out the people side of the business. And it's really, including others, to really learn and lead and share, that ultimately builds engagement, because we're all in this together, and we can all lead and learn from everyone that is finding some great improvements or strategies that can support the greater good of our organizations. So thank you for sharing that. So one of the things that I want to share is that your organization, BDO, is so renowned for exceptional service that really creates, I believe, a strong competitive advantage. But I also, if I can just backtrack a little bit, I'm a big believer that an engaged firm has an equalness to having a strong competitive customer excellence strategy. And I think you have that. And it begins with relationships, right? And it starts with people helping people. And this really is an essence of your BDO dream. It's the global dream. And Keith, I would really love it if you could elaborate a little bit more on, or not a little bit more, but elaborate on more on BDO's dream.
Same kind of analysis that I've done with global when I moved into the role that we did in Canada as well.
Yeah.
And almost the same conclusion in that we have a lot of great independent firms, but how do we do things more together? Because there's lots to leverage and so on and so forth. So we started with the thought, not surprising, that the rallying cry for BDO is it's time for BDO to lead. In today's world, you need to be a leader. You don't want to be second, third, fourth in anybody's list. You want to be a leader. And when I talk about leadership, it's not just about me or the managing partners that are leaders. How about everybody in our organization is a leader? Because you're all leader in your own right. And it's funny, we argued about, what is the definition of a leader? And kind of the conclusion we came to is we want all our people, when they get involved in a project, when they get involved in something, they want to be able to say, here's what I would do if I were you. That's what leadership that we're working for. So if you and I are working on a project and you're kind of listening to what I'm thinking so far, you said, Keith, this is what I would do if I were you. And that's what team is all about. That's what the leadership is all about. And so you're right, that in terms of the dream and defining BDO, we actually call it our purpose, is all about people helping people, we say, achieve their dream. Mm-hmm. And again, going back to my belief that if you have a strategy, a global strategy, any strategy, it just doesn't work if you have a 20-page document, you send it out to everybody and say, okay, here's our new strategy, start practicing it tomorrow. So instead, we just created a framework of really 4 key things. And we said, we're going to help you with the pieces in this framework, but we just want you engaged in the framework. We want you to focus on these areas, and we're going to do it together. And so the 4 areas were our why or purpose, people helping people achieve their dreams. That's what BDO is all about. It's about helping people inside, helping our clients, it's helping our communities. So that the why or purpose is really important. Secondly, if we're going to be leaders, we have to pick the markets that we're going to lead in. That's what leaders do. So let's focus on markets together that BDO is known for. Next, if we are going to be leaders in those markets, we need to deliver innovation. And so let's focus all our innovation strategies on those markets that BDO is going to lead in to give our whole innovation strategy a focus going forward. And then last but not least is how we're going to work. And we need to work as advisors of the future. Surprisingly, it starts with something I learned a long time ago. They now have a fancy name for it called design thinking. And what design thinking is about is going to a client saying, okay, where would you like to be down the road? What are your issues? How can we help you in what you want to do? And really listen to that and then bring in the innovation and our talented specialists wherever they are around the world to be an advisor of the future. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, Alicia, and obviously it's too short a time to really give it justice, but I'm so happy that we were able to roll it out last year because that strategy works just as well a year ago when everything was booming as it does today when we have COVID over our heads. We still need to be focused on people helping people. We still need to be focused on our clients. Their issues have changed. That's why we have to have a different discussion with them. We still have to bring in digital and innovation, and we still have to do it in our own way of being advisor to the future. So again, having a framework allows you to make those kinds of adjustments rather than having a prescriptive strategy, and you would be out of luck now if you did that.
I absolutely agree with you, Keith. And you actually just you really said it right there. And this is really a time where we can really come together and really focus in on what that global strategy is, the why, right? What is our purpose? How can we come together, especially in these times, right? So it really is about connecting and really supporting each other, and using this time as well to really brainstorm personally and professionally of how are we going to move forward? How are we going to collectively come together? Let's bring our ideas. One of the things that I work with clients, especially a younger generation, it's all about purpose, mastery, and autonomy. And so we have a little bit of time right now to be thinking about all those things. And so if we're talking about leading our markets, we're leading with innovation, which I believe is all about people, right? Innovation is about people have great ideas. So how do we build a framework that we can bring that into organizations and use our employees to really step up that opportunity of leading employees to become our influential and future leaders. So there's a lot of time and opportunity for us to all grow. So thank you for saying that. And I love your whole strategy. I've watched it many times, and I'll definitely share this at the end of our session today. So literally taking from that. So we know that effective leadership is very key. And it really is sometimes about getting out of our own way, right? And it's learning from others. It's learning about what others' ideas are. I see that in so many cases. I see that in organizations that thrive, and I see that in organizations that fall down. And it's really about ensuring that leaders are giving the opportunity for other people in the organization to support. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Maybe you have some ideas around that or support that strategy.
As I mentioned, I'm a big believer in leadership and that we all can lead. And when I get out and talk to our people, I try to tell stories and use a lot of analogies and so on. And because I'm an avid cyclist, the stories I tend to tell a lot are about cycling. And that's a whole other thing. As I've traveled, I've cycled in so many different places. I've cycled downtown Mumbai, India. I've cycled in Australia. I've cycled in Italy and Spain. So cycling has been amazing. And again, out there cycling, you think about so many things and you learn so many things. But that story, talk about leadership, is kind of the reversal. Sometimes, as the CEO, we need to step back and let other people lead. We don't always have to be the one that are leading. A case in point I give is my son, who I cycle with a lot, or I have been up until the COVID, and he is actually the leader. He's a much better cyclist than I am. He's got everything down pat. He's got the communication down pat. He points out holes and stuff because, of course, I'm following him as we travel around because he's a better cyclist. And it's, he's actually training me as well. So one of the funny ones is when I get following him sometimes, I've just got my head down. I'm just trying to stay on his wheel and stay up to him. And he'll look back and he'll say, and he doesn't call me dad anymore. He calls me Keith. He says, "Oh, Keith," he said, "you need to get your head up because if you don't have your head up, you're missing everything." And I thinking, wow, that applies to cycling, but that applies to business as well. Like so many of us are just kind of going day by day. We're just kind of doing our job, but we have to always put it in perspective. Do we want to go? What do we ultimately want to achieve? So we need to get our head up and think about that. Another expression that he gave, and it was really good because we climbed this big mountain in Spain, and I had set that I wasn't going to make it all the way up because we didn't have the right bikes for it. We didn't have enough gears on our bikes.
Do you mind if I ask you what mountain it was? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I'd have to get back to you on that, Alicia. But anyways, he continued on to the top, and he posted it on his Instagram actually. And the line was, when you're climbing a mountain and you run out of gears, it's time to other gear in yourself. It's so applicable to where we are today. Just think about it. You know, we've got everything all at us. You can get totally overwhelmed, or it's time to find another gear. We have to push on through this, and we're going to find that in ourselves. Other people are not going to necessarily find it for us. So there's been so many leadership things that I've learned from cycling, and it all comes back to the same thing: is if you can build an organization where everyone believes that they can be a leader in their own little thing, you will have such amazing teams that's really going to lead your organization to someplace very impressive. And that's the kind of the message that we're trying to deliver.
I think that's amazing. That's such a great story. And I'm going to ask you this, Keith, because I remember you and I quickly talked about this in our last call, but you had quite an amazing experience in Mumbai, India. Did you not? You had a whole team of your people come out and support you on a cycle. Can you quickly share that with us?
First of all, they asked me if I would be interested in cycling in Mumbai. And I said, I don't know how safe that would be. And they said, trust me, we will make it safe for you. And so I said, sure, I'm game for anything. And so when I get there, we're going to ride in the middle of the night. It's not so busy in Mumbai then. And then secondly, we did a lottery because the staff said that they wanted to go. And we felt that the cycling company could only bring in 80 cyclists, and way more than 80 people wanted to go with you through downtown streets of Mumbai. And it just so happened I had this bright red BDO cycling shirt, which I wore. And all the people kind of followed us along. It was like I was the Pied Piper, right? It was just an amazing experience. You can actually find it on the media. We had the India media join us along for the ride as well. They had some amazing posts, and it just felt so good. Again, it was going back to the Canadian experience. You're reaching out and touching people. These are some of our bright minds of the future, and we got to cycle together in an unforgettable experience.
Oh, I love it. And I don't know, I think that is called effective leadership. When you can get everybody out there and supporting the cause for you, the organization, and for the people in the local offices, I think that's fantastic. So yeah, please do share that with me, Keith, and I'll share that with our audience as well. If you have any pictures or videos around that.
I will do that.
Thank you. So I want to thank you so much for our call today. I love the work that you do and the work that your teams are doing. So I want to just say that for our audiences that are listening today, that if you would like to learn more about BDO's Global Dream, please go to the YouTube channel and search for BDO's Global Dream. Very, very inspirational. And I will actually see if I can add that to our podcast session today. And also, if you would like to connect with me personally to help support you and your team as to how to engage your organization, I would be so happy to just meet with you or to have a conversation. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn. Keith, is there anything else more that you would like to say?
Alicia, I would just end by saying thank you for inviting me on today. I think you and I share the same dream, if you want to call it that, that it's all about people and bringing out the passion in people, in your teams is so important. And so thank you for everything you're doing to help to make that to happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.